Um, just to acknowledge that it is an amazing life to be a musician and live as you have. Like, there's some real surreal moments. Can you tell us, like, some moment where you can't believe that it's your own life? Where you're like, whether that means, like, feeling like a success in whatever kind of way, but there's moments where you're just like, oh, weird. This is my life?
Yeah, oh God, I mean, where to begin?
I hope that doesn't come across as, tell us some tour stories.
Right. No,
Because, I mean, obviously you were aware of Amy Mann before she was your bandmate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But, you know, that's another thing, like, things seem less and less weird the longer it goes on, because she's a person who's, you know, one of my dearest and closest, you know, associates in the world at this point. Of course, I knew her as like a star from Till Tuesday before I ever imagined I would meet her. But we gradually circled into each other's orbits through mutual friends over the years. You know, and that's the way so much of this goes. You know, like you mentioned seeing me in Chisel on tour with Fugazi and Lungfish. You know, when I was listening to Minor Threat in the mid-'80s, like I would have never imagined that, but it's just a gradual process of, you know, an ever-expanding network that then tightens in certain ways, and then it doesn't seem so crazy that you're on the road with Fugazi, you know?
Yeah, there was actually, so I met this guy who's in a band, a friend of a friend is in a band with a guy who just joined the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was like, sitting in the backseat of a car with this guy, and he's like, yeah, my band's on hold because my friend just joined the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I was like, wow, that must be a strange call to get, huh? He's like, no. Okay, everything becomes normalized. Just get used to it.
I'll say that, you know, less than like making those kinds of connections, I think that the moment in my life when I did have a bit of a watershed about like feeling like I've achieved something was on the, like maybe the first tour that we were doing on the Touch and Go record, Living with the Living. In New York, we sold out 2 nights at the Bowery Ballroom, which is like a 650 cap room, you know, so.
I like to call it 800. Sounds better for the people back home.
Yeah, we'll say 800. From, you know, for me in New York, it was a weird thing to have happen because, you know, I'd gone from playing in literally rubble-filled, like, semi-bars in the 80s, downtown Beirut, you know, to ABC No Rio, to, you know, Brownies, to what's now Music Hall Williamsburg, it was like North 6, you know, back then. And then all of a sudden you're at the Bowery Ballroom, and then a second for 2 nights, you know, and it's just this ladder up that again, while you're doing it, it doesn't necessarily seem crazy because each step is a baby step and a logical move, but that was such a like time in the world, you know, Iraq War was on hot and heavy, and there was an energy in the room both nights that I think for the first time, like I really felt like, oh, like.
Right, so it's not just
like we brought this like community together for these 2 nights. You know, it's an echo chamber, but it's like cathartic, and we're the engine for this.
Yeah, right. We being the engine, meaning that it's not just, success isn't just about scale of like, wow, this is a room that I thought of other people playing when I was younger, but realizing that like, wow, we're the center of gravity in this room, and we've like created this feeling. Yeah. Oh.
And then later on, as I was loading out in the rain, some guy came up to me and started telling me how he didn't like the album.
Yeah. It's so nice. I actually, That reminds me, there was a short moment in my life in which I hated you. We were on tour, we did this European tour that was for 100 years long, and the driver listened only to your record all day, every day. It was actually 7 weeks.
Wow.
And it was for 7 weeks, from the moment I woke up and sat down till the moment we arrived in the next place. It was your record over and over and over, and we had a song that like we called our Ted Leo ripoff, like just on accident, because it was like, well, this is just the sound in our heads.
I'm very sorry about that. But it's funny.
Uli from Dortmund.
I don't think I know Uli. That makes it even funnier.
It was nice to clear the air. Do we have any questions from the audience?
All right, we covered it all.
Question you've always wanted to ask Ted Leo.
How do you stay inspired?
The question is, how do you stay inspired?
I don't, you know, it's like, sometimes you're inspired and sometimes you're not. And that's the thing about the writing process is like, you know.
Well, that's why I'm asking about office hours.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to, you know, you just have to, you've probably heard the thing that authors say about like, all right, I get up in the morning and I write for 3 hours, and even if I throw it all out, I still write for 3 hours every day, and that's what I do, you know. And so sometimes you're inspired and you, and things, you know, it's like, you know, lightning strikes, and then other times you work and you're like, this phrase isn't happening for me, I need to find a better way to say this, I need to find a better rhyme, you know.
So how often do you find yourself revising, and a song still works? Is that common? Or are there diminishing returns on like, versus the songs that hit you like
I hope that see, what I don't want, this is the thing that I've been afraid of for the last 6 years, is that like, I don't want to turn into like Lee Mavers from the Laws, you know, who worked on that second Laws record forever and then it never came out. You know, I don't want to get too much inside my head and revising and editing and revising and editing, but I think I'm pretty good about that. Like, I don't think I'm overworking anything.
Well, being aware of it is the first inoculation, right? And there's the accelerated sense of time of putting out a record a year makes it seem longer too by comparison.
It's true.
The last, I gave you that Tour Diaries book, and this is a funny analogy about how we feel time accelerating. I think just because everything was happening faster and faster with the internet versus like shouting across a field, hello! We tried to tour the whole US in 3.5 weeks. Like, we just thought that like cars went faster and cities were closer together. So yeah, so you have to like, right. I'm just telling you, don't beat yourself up, man.
Thanks, man.
You got the time.
Yeah, you know, it's been good. It's actually been, a lot of the damage that we've been talking about, I think I've actually managed to work through in just the last couple of years of my life, and that, you know, even the expectations of a timeline is like, once my first goal, once I didn't meet my first goal like 4 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, you know, it'll come out. Like
That's like such an inspiring, such an inspiring idea. Once I blew the first goal, it's so much easier to keep blowing other goals. So if the record doesn't happen, you have
that's
the
the lesson that I
motivation.
believe for this year.
Any other questions? Yes, you in the back. Just kidding. Thought someone was.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Ted. That's
Thank you.
yeah. That's our round of applause for Ted. And once again, thank you to Chicago Athletic Association for hosting us. And if you want to relive this, you can do so on the internet in the near future. Thank you. Thanks for coming.